want to talk with you about how to choose a career. Having had over 6,000 clients, I've come to conclude that the conventional approach to choosing a career is too often wrong. The conventional approach is to identify your skills, your interests, your values, and find a career that fits. Well, there are two real foundational problems with that approach. One is that too often you do that and what you come up with is something unrealistic. Most people end up wanting to do something that is very popular, whether it be in entertainment, sports, save the environment, etc. And the trouble is that there are too many people wanting jobs in that, and so it becomes unrealistic. And then because of that supply and demand imbalance, employers tend to treat you really poorly unless you're a superstar. The second thing is that choosing based on your skills, interests, and values, etc., devalues what ends up being often more central to whether you're happy or not, and that is using your connections to get a job. You'll get a better job on average than you'll get in the open market, and therefore are more likely to have a decent boss, decent pay, etc. Even if it doesn't fit as well your skills, interests, values, etc. Also, and this is perhaps a little less central, but it's really true, by focusing on choosing the career that's a supposed fit, you're perhaps devaluing what ends up being more important to your career success, which is A, getting excellent, B, adapting the job to fit you and the career to fit you. There are many people whose careers are an ostensible good fit, but in the end are not happy, either because they haven't adapted it to fit by, for example, quitting a job with a lousy boss, getting your job description changed, or they haven't taken the time to really get expert at it, which ends up being critical. You could be in a career that doesn't seem to be very well suited, but if you become an expert at it, you end up feeling great about it. I love telling the story of this guy who ended up in a factory, in an international harvester factory, building tractors, and he became an expert at tractor dashboards. And he never in a million years would have thought he was interested in that. And no matter how much you identify your skills, interests, and values, you're not going to come up with that. It was his relative at the Thanksgiving table that got him said, hey, come on, work at International Harvester. So those are the reasons I think that the standard approaches work poorly. What works better is, it's anti-intellectual and it seems simplistic, but functionally in the real world it works better. It was to simply start by looking at where your connections are, where your past experience may open doors better than what you'd get in the open market, and trying to get a good job in that, and then promising yourself you want to become an expert at it, because that is key to feeling good about it. If you are expert and you're valued, you're going to get paid more, you're going to get more attaboys, attagirls, and you're going to feel better about your career. And it matters far less what it is than if you can become expert. And second, do adapt it to suit your strengths. If you are more of a people person, let's say, I'm just making something up here because I don't know why doctor comes to mind. There are doctors who are great people, and they're really notable for their bedside manner and their inspiring realistic hope, etc. And there are others who are not that good, but brilliant as diagnosticians. And kind of establishing a niche or a practice that specializes in that. So, for example, a doctor who, paradoxically, is an oncologist, it may be more important for him or her to have bedside manner skills than be brilliantly technological, because very often the diagnosis comes from blood tests, imaging, etc., and it's the people skills that ends up being differentiator. If, on the other hand, you're a master diagnostician, maybe you should be a radiologist who's looking at those images and making diagnostic decisions based on the patient's record as well as the imaging. So adapting it, deciding you're going to do something extra on the job that will match your skills. I have people who've gotten a job in something that's seeming mundane, but their love was photography, and so they end up taking a lot of pictures, hanging around their office, giving photographs to their customers. So that ends up being more crucial. And if the secondary thing, which is also very useful, which is exposure to lots and lots of careers, is simply to scan the 300 most popular careers, in the table of contents in the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is free online, Occupational Outlook Handbook, just Google it, or my book, Careers for Dummies, which has little profiles, accessible profiles of 350 careers, and simply scan them and see which, I don't mean scan into a scanner, I'm saying just look through the table of contents, and organically, anything that feels good, read about it a little bit. And that can expose you to hundreds of careers in almost no time, and perhaps therefore get a better fit. But again, no matter whether you choose that way or any other way, it's critical to A, get really expert at it, which is often not a function of whether you do it at a university or not, but whether you're more likely, you're learning from mentors, doing reading, watching videos, asking for feedback. That tends to be a faster and more likely route to practical expertise than universities, which tend to be theoretical in their training. And then also, finding a good job in that career. If you don't like it, you really should look for something better, where there is a good boss, reasonable work expectations, moderate work-life balance, reasonable job security, ethical work, etc. And that ends up being the formula for choosing a career and finding a job that ends up leading to greater happiness than focusing on the identification of skills, interests, values, etc. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm going to, I ad-lib this for you, and I'm planning on turning it into an article. Anyway, I hope you found this of value. In any event, I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up. I accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.